Hello, and welcome to the Daily Debrief Download, an audio series taking you through the biggest stories and the breaking news from the Oceanographic newsroom. I'm Rob Hutchins, news editor here at Oceanographic magazine, and in this episode, I'll be leading us on a deeper dive into just one story from today's leading headlines. Now, every year along the coastline of North Cyprus, a wandering traveller makes their return home, emerging from the waters to hoist themselves up the shoreline of spots like Alagadi Beach near Essentepe or Golden Beach in the Karpaz Peninsula to make their nests in their soft sands. For millennia, the nesting habits of the loggerhead and green sea turtles, a process that occurs each year between the months of May and August, has gone largely undisturbed. That is, until very recent decades, because researchers from the University of Exeter have discovered that sea turtles are being forced to nest earlier and earlier each year, and the reason why is climate change. Yes, observing the natal philopatry common in sea turtles, this is that celebrated homing system which sees sea turtles return to nest in the area they themselves hatched. Scientists have witnessed a change in behavior that can be traced back to as recent as 1993. And that is that to mitigate the rise in sea and land temperatures, female sea turtles are now undertaking the nesting process by almost as much as a day earlier each year. So, let's unpack this study to better understand the findings. And to do this, we need to understand the vital role that temperature plays in the life of the sea turtle. Before it even knows it, before it's even born, every aspect of life the green or the loggerhead sea turtle is going to experience has been predetermined by the temperature. This is because sea turtles are a species governed by a process known as temperature-dependent sex determination. Research has shown that when a turtle's egg incubates below 27.7 degrees Celsius, the turtle hatchlings will be male. If the eggs incubate above 31 degrees Celsius, however, they will all be female. This is a pretty simplified version of events, but important to bear in mind. Also important to understand is that should the temperature be too high, and the chances that the eggs hatch at all plummets. Using data spanning back to the early 90s, researchers are able to predict that, at the current rate of warming oceans and land, by the year 2100, there will be hardly any new loggerhead turtle offsprings being produced. The population would essentially be too skewed, and the hatching success rates would simply be too low to support the population. Unless, of course, the species was able to counter the higher temperatures by moving their nesting season forward. And this is precisely what scientists have found to be occurring. So what are the finer details? Well, in a bid to better understand what's going on in these nests, scientists started off by placing temperature loggers at night in the nests of females laying their eggs, retrieving them once the nest had hatched. With this data, researchers have been able to determine that turtles would need to nest half a day earlier each year in order to just maintain the current male to female sex ratio. However, to prevent egg hatching failures, they will need to get started even earlier, some 0.7 days per year earlier, in fact. And that is a necessity that, it would seem, sea turtles are already attuned to. In fact, it's been found that among loggerhead sea turtles, returning females have been advancing the start of their nesting by 0.78 days per year since 1993. What this means is that, for now at least, the turtles are doing enough to ensure their eggs continue to hatch by nesting earlier and in more ideal temperatures. But while this is good news for now, Professor Annette Broderick from the University of Exeter suggests there is simply no guarantee that they will carry on doing this, adding that behaviour like this is very much dependent on how much the temperature rises and, importantly, the availability of food. If the timing in production in terms of where their food is coming from shifts, she says, then turtles could become disconnected between where they forage and where they breed. But there's slightly more to the study still, and it suggests that this kind of response could be down to the experience of the individual sea turtles themselves. Observing more than 600 individual sea turtles across North Cyprus, a separate study found that individual turtles were adjusting their nesting times based on sea temperature, finding that turtles were laying their eggs a total of 6.47 days earlier for every 1 degree Celsius increase in ocean temperature. But To know if this advancement will continue into the future, Molly Rickwood, a researcher from the University of Exeter's Centre for Ecology and Conservation, says it will be crucial to understand the combined effects of changes in the age structure of the turtle population, as well as how each turtle responds to environmental change. Some suggest that while turtles appear to be coping with current rising temperatures, we don't yet know how much longer temperatures in Cyprus will make it a viable spot for nesting at all. Future decades could, therefore, see sea turtle populations gradually make new, cooler regions across the Mediterranean their hatching home. To learn more about this story or other stories on how species are adapting to climate change for now, head to the Oceanographic Newsroom. This has been the Daily Debrief Download. I've been Rob Hutchins. Thank you for listening.